So it's laudable to review someone else's speech.
Yes.
Very.
Laudable.
And now I'm very proud to introduce our speaker today. Giovanna has been with the City of Tampa for almost 2 years. She came from Dallas, where she had spent the previous 12 years. She moved here to be close to her family, who are spread out all throughout Florida, but mostly concentrated in the Ocala area. This will be her third Christmas in Florida. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Giovanna.
Toastmaster.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, fellow.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Members. Today my speech is titled Holiday Season Spend. As you already know and Diane already mentioned, I've been in the Tampa area for about 2 years now. And this is going to be my third Christmas here. My very first holiday season, I spent Thanksgiving in Dallas with my dear friends and Christmas in Ocala. That Thanksgiving was bittersweet. I got together with about 25 or 30 friends of mine. A dear friend hosted the party. She beautifully arranged all the main course and side dishes. Her buffet style setup was laudable. She did a great job, and all my friends. I didn't get to cook that Thanksgiving because I was packing, but I did bring wine, champagne, and desserts. And I also brought gifts for everybody. All of my friends, about 20, 30 of them. About a week after, my husband and I drove down to the Tampa area. So the very first week of December, we were unpacking and getting settled, and my family were planning the Christmas Eve dinner. So all my family got together at my aunt's house in Ocala. They came from Miami, my cousin from Orlando, some other cousins, so my uncle, my grandfather, my aunt. It was a big group, about 25, 30 of us as well. And so because it was my very first Christmas with them since a long time, it had been years since we all got together. It was a very special time. And so I also bought gifts for everybody. And and also cook a side dish and brought the dessert and wine and champagne as well. It was a wonderful time, very, very nice. During New Year's Eve, I was invited to, my husband and I were invited to the neighbors. With the house that we moved, the neighbors hosted the New Year's Eve party, and we went there and brought gifts for the family. My neighbors, my new neighbors, and also brought a side dish and some wine. Further, the very first week of the year, I went down to Miami also to visit my nephew, and also brought gifts to him, and took him and his grandmother and grandfather out, because he lives with his grandparents out for dinner. And so we traveled. We stayed in a hotel for a couple of days. So it was a wonderful, busy season, holiday season, and everything was wonderful until my credit card bill came. During the month of January, I almost flipped. I had spent a few $1,000s. And so that was my very first holiday season. It took me a while to get that sink in. And the next year, I tried to be a little bit wiser. And I thought, well, I also want to please all my family and spend time and have a great holiday season, but I really need to make a budget. And that's what I'd like to share with you, is how to make a budget for these spending holiday season. So the very first thing that you need to do is to brainstorm. So grab a piece of paper and a pen and start writing down the people that you want to buy gifts for. Be specific. List them all and list ideas that you want to get for each of them. Decorations, if you need those, if you need to get a tree and wreath and lights. You want also to write down, if you want to travel, the places you want to go. Whether you want to go out of town, visit some family, and then write down the gas that you're going to spend, whether you're going to go by car or by plane or by train, so tickets, lodging, and all those. Also, whether you're going to host a party or whether you're going to go to a party. If you're going to host a party, so the food that you need to purchase, any decorations that go along with that, drinks, or if you're going to go to a party, then you may want to get a gift for your host. So all those things that you want to do and you want to purchase and you want to plan for can become overwhelming. Your list can be pretty long, but if you plan and you write it down, it's more manageable. So that's the very first thing. You want to write everything down. Your second thing is you want to do a spending worksheet. So you want to group these in categories, right? So I like to have them separate, but you can have one main spreadsheet. You can use Excel or any other software of your choice, and you want to keep track of your main categories of food, whether you're going to make it, bring it to a party, or whether you're going to make it do the party in your house, any incidentals, like sometimes you want to take pictures and pictures of the kids and have calendars and mail those to your family, or wrapping paper and tape and things of that nature. Decoration category, again, for whether you want a tree or wreath or light. Clothes, sometimes we, especially women, like to buy a new dress for Christmas or new shoes, right? And so we want to keep track of those, also keep that category of clothes. Travel expenses, if we're going to go out of town. Entertainment, sometimes during the holiday season also we want to go and see some shows or maybe plays. Also gifts, obviously, if you want the people to talk to you next year. You may want to get a little something for everybody to make sure that you write down all the names that you really need to get something for. So once you have your spending worksheet in detailed information on those categories and all the detail next to it, the next thing you need to do is to set a budget or limit for each of those. So you want to set a general limit first. So let's say that you only want to spend $1,000 or $500 during these holiday season. That's all you want to spend. Then set your general limit and then set individual limits for your categories. So whether you're going to have travel expenses or whether you're going to host a Christmas party and the food and all that. So just start dividing those $500 into the different categories. So if you want to spend only $100 on your Christmas food or your Christmas party, and then you only want to spend, let's say, $200 on gifts, and you only want to spend $50 on decoration, and so on. So you just have to set limits for each category. And be very specific. The more detailed, the better. So for the food, for example, category, so you want to write down exactly what it is that you want to buy. Whether you want to do pork, how many of them, and then in your spending spreadsheet, make sure you also have a column for the budget and also another column for the actual. And the third column should be overages or shortage. So that way you can actually budget for a price, but then keep track of the actual price. And that moves us to our third thing that you want to do, is to track your spending. You want to make sure, because a budget is not good if you're not tracking what you spend. Because you can say, okay, I'm going to spend $500 and then go wild and buy whatever, because this is a season where we want to do all kinds of things. But you must track. Track is very important. For each of the things that you buy, write down the actual and whether you go above or beyond the price. And that way you can keep yourself in track. So if you overspend in a gift, for example, so I set up a limit for $25 for my grandfather, I might go to $30, but then if I'm going to buy for my cousin and the limit was $20, maybe it'll be $18, and so on. So I can keep track of how much I'm going over and beyond, and try to compensate for that. And so, it doesn't have to be overwhelming. If you follow these guidelines and this way of spending, it should be easy. You just have to be prepared and stick to a plan. So remember that you need to make a list, be specific, use that spending worksheet, set limits, make a budget by setting those limits, and track your spending. And so you will have a holiday season, a joyful one, and then when your bill comes around, you don't have to regret it. I hope you'll have a wonderful holiday season. Thank you.
Giovanna, that was absolutely outstanding. That really was.